So welcome everyone to Psalms for Life, in which we take a different chapter of Psalms each week and we explore them using a variety of sources and especially focusing on the messages and inspiration from Rebbe Nachman of Breslov. We want to thank Esther Elagorovich for making this class possible. It's a big undertaking because there are 150 chapters, and may it be a source of merit for her and her family, a source of bracha and hatzlacha. Okay, so the SEGULA for Psalm 25 it's a psalm for help in difficult times. And it's a psalm that can be read at the personal level or the national level, like most chapters of Tehillim. So if you're in personally difficult times, read this psalm. If you are experiencing the energy that's going on right now in the world, the almost Mashiach energy, which is so intense and turbulent and crazy, also a good psalm to say. If you connect with the language, for sure. And even if you don't, I think it's a very beautiful psalm and it has a lot of personal meaning to me. Okay. I'm trying to find a psalm that doesn't have a lot of personal meaning to me, but some a little more than others. We all have connections with different tefillahs and tehillim. Okay. So the overview of this psalm is in this psalm. Okay, somebody just asked me a message, Psalm 25. Okay. All right. The overview for this psalm is in this psalm, David HaMelech, King David, asks Hashem to help him. The main focus is to keep him on the right path, which involves a lot of faith, trust, and hope. And we'll be talking about those concepts. And it's also a psalm of teshuvah, which we'll talk about as well. And also it's a psalm for each of us. David wrote this psalm so that we too can say it and cry out to Hashem, Hashem, help us stay on the Meselah Yesharim, okay, on the straight path, on the right path throughout our lives, throughout every area of our lives. So we'll begin. LeDavid Alecha, Hashem Nafshi Esa. Of David, okay, of King David, to you, Hashem, I will lift up my soul. Okay. So Rashi explains that in this context, nafshi, my soul, nefesh, means my heart. Soul and heart are synonymous. What is the heart when we're speaking about it in terms of the soul? The heart is the feelings that we have, okay? We have thoughts and we have feelings. Feelings are like the thoughts of our heart. And our heart constantly needs to be elevated because why? Our thoughts and our hearts are often in a battle. And what we want to do as Jews, as human beings, is to align our hearts with our heads. It does not refer to our own logic. That's not the kind of thoughts and heads that we want to align our heart to. We want to align our heart to the thoughts that we have built around the Torah knowledge that we have, whatever that may be, at whatever level we're at. So when you have taken in a new Torah teaching, whether it's in Hasidus or whether it's in Musar, whatever it is, when you've taken that in, Rebbe Nachman encourages us to then go and speak to Hashem about what we've learned. There's no point, I can't say there's no point, I'll take that back, I'll walk it back a little bit. There's not as much a point to getting all excited we heard an intellectual concept, we heard an inspiring shiur, we read something that really made an effect on the way we think, and then, okay, 2 days later, we forget about it. The point of Torah is to change ourselves and to change our lives, okay? So Rebbe Nachman says, you want to lift up your heart to Hashem? Hashem wants your heart. He doesn't just want your tacit agreement with halacha, the mitzvot, and so on. He wants us to bring all of ourselves to him. And that's what nafshi, my soul, is referring to in this pasuk. Okay, we're going to continue. Let's see. We'll go to base. We'll go to verse 2. Elokai b'cha vatachti al avosha al ya'altsu oivai li. So my God, okay, my Hashem, I trusted in you. Let me not be ashamed, nor let my enemies rejoice over me. Okay, or we could say, lest my enemies rejoice over me. So this is the concept of bitachon, the concept of trust in Hashem. And the Midrash on Tehillim tells us a little parable about bitachon. I'm very taken with this parable. I have possibly mentioned it. I possibly mentioned it in another class this week. It just really spoke to me. One night, a traveler was seized by the royal guards. Okay. And he was seized by the royal guards who suspected him of being a burglar. And he begged them to not use corporal punishment on him. He said, please don't beat me, because why? I'm a member of the king's household. And they threw him in a cell. They didn't beat him. And in the morning, they brought him before the king when the king woke up. And the king said, do you know me? Do I know you? How are we related? How are you a member of my household? And the traveler said, no. Okay, it's true, I'm not, but I place all my trust in you. And I knew that if I placed all my trust in you and said, I'm connected to you, I wouldn't get beaten. And the king liked this reasoning. And he said, because he trusted in me, let him go. If we think about it, okay, unless a human being is particularly sadistic, God forbid, when someone trusts in you, you rise to the occasion. A mother with small children, who has children relying on her, who has children who need her, rises to the occasion. A leader of a country whose people have faith in him and trust in him, very often, not always, rises to the occasion. The trust itself, and this is going to be a theme in this discussion today, the trust itself is what triggers, it's the catalyst, it's the arousal from below that's going to change, so to speak. We know Hashem never changes, but it's going to have an effect or a change that will then open up the gates of blessing. We're going to talk more about this. Now, Rebbe Nachman says that when you trust in Hashem and you look to him for all your needs alone, you're only looking to Hashem, and I'm going to explain how to do that in a minute, then what you need will be sent to you as you require it. If you would like to learn this lesson in Likutei Moharan, it's Torah 76, okay? So even someone not worthy of being a member of the king's inner circle, if he places all his trust in Hashem, he's going to go free. And he's going to be creating a vessel in which to pour bracha. We think of hishtadlus, okay, are the actions that we have to take in order to receive, let's say, a parnasa, okay, an income. We think, okay, the hishtadlus I have to do is I have to go, I have to get dressed up, I have to go to work, I have to punch in on time, I have to punch out on time, I have to file my taxes, and so on. I have to get the correct training for my work, and so on. What Rebbe Nachman is saying here is different. He's saying that our hishtadlus, if we read between the lines, is our bitachon. As a matter of fact, I always say, because I need to remind myself of this all the time, that the Jew's hishtadlus, the action we must take in this world, really is tefillah. It's prayer. That's the action. That's where we begin. Okay, we begin with prayer. Prayer includes bitachon. When we are petitioning Hashem, okay, there's other kinds of prayer as well. But when we are petitioning Hashem, we are increasing or expressing, or both, our trust in Hashem. Now, the way to get into this mindset is to remind ourselves, to really make an effort to say to ourselves, every time we get that paycheck or that check or that cash or the groceries, whatever it is, to say to ourselves, thank you to my employer, thank you to the delivery person, but mainly thank you for Hashem. All of those ways in which, derech b'teva, natural ways in which we get the sustenance we need, all of those ways are just agents of Hashem. They are not the source of the income and the bracha. And why am I breaking this down? Some of you know this already, because I think we all need to remind ourselves of this. And so I have a habit. As most of you know, Breslov survives completely by donations. So there's small checks, there's bigger checks, whatever comes in. I always have hakar satov to the person who donates, but I also, and most important, thank Hashem. Thank Hashem. Thank Hashem for inspiring that person to help keep this going. Okay. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. I can cash this check and I can go buy groceries or whatever it is I need. And by telling myself this over and over again, I get in the habit. It doesn't become rote per se, but it becomes more familiar to me, so that the connection, again, lifting up my heart, okay, nafshi, lifting up my soul to Hashem, the connection becomes that this is a feeling of gratitude, a feeling that my trust in Hashem is, as Rebbe Nachman says, has created a vessel into which Hashem is pouring the bracha. Okay, and this operates for everything. If you go to you can go to breslovwoman.org, or you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Chaya Rivka Zwolinski. It's, for some reason, I haven't put it under Breslov Woman yet. And you look at yesterday's class on body and soul, we speak about this idea of beginning everything with tefillah rather than running and jumping through hoops. Keep prayer in mind. Keep the source of everything in mind at all times. Okay. All right. By the way, also that makes for good relationships, because when somebody doesn't come through for you, you also know that's from Hashem as well. So there's no resentment. There's just an understanding that this wasn't that person's time to come through for you in whatever way. I'm not even just speaking about parnasa. I'm speaking about all kinds of things. There's a greater acceptance and tolerance of people's free choice and their power of choice. Okay. More about trust. Type my notes very clearly today. I'm so proud of myself. Okay. Baruch Hashem. There are higher and higher levels of trust reaching to infinity. This is Rebbe Nachman, Likutei Moharan, lesson 225. The greater a person's wisdom and understanding, the deeper his trust. The greater a person's intelligence and understanding, the deeper his trust. The more trusting he is, the more generous he or she will be in giving tzedakah. Tzedakah is the gateway to the perfection of the faculty of speech. We're not going to go into detail of this, which is the essence of man's superiority over animals. Let's just very briefly break that down. There are many levels of trust. There isn't like a bitachon plateau. There's a bitachon, there's bitachon, there's bitachon, and so on and so forth. The more intelligent, the more knowledge you have, the more wisdom you have, the more understanding you have, the more bitachon you have, and the more you propel yourself forward in your level of bitachon. Bitachon, by the way, is essential to calming down anxieties and worries and fear. And when you have this level of trust, you're more generous in giving tzedakah. It doesn't hurt you to give your 10% or your 20%. You'll even give more. It doesn't hurt because you're trusting in Hashem. And when you are able to do that, what ends up happening is that your speech is perfected, which expresses our superiority. So perfect speech, let's just briefly mention what that is. That's prayer. It could be hitbodedut, prayer in your own words. It could be saying Tehillim. It could be saying Psalms. So this is really, in a nutshell, showing us the many flavors of bitachon. Okay, also, I want to say about this verse, something very interesting here, what Malbim says. Okay, he says like this: David is not concerned with his own shame, because remember he says, so people will, excuse me, somebody got cut out and I'm going to add them back in. Okay, so this verse, just to remind you, is Hashem, I trusted in you. Let me not be ashamed. Okay, nor shall my enemies rejoice over me. Okay, so this idea is David isn't concerned with his enemies shaming him, humiliating him. Okay, he's not concerned with, let me do this for my own pride. He doesn't care about that. Okay, even though shame, for most people, humiliation is a very uncomfortable feeling. David is concerned with one thing, that if he fails, okay, if he fails in whatever he's doing, people, his enemies, are going to use his failures to deny the value of faith and trust in God. David is more concerned with Hashem's kavod, and he doesn't just merely want to succeed for himself. He wants to succeed for God's honor. So sometimes people will be on a self-improvement plan in spirituality, and they'll grow and they'll grow. And then something will happen. They'll mess up, whatever. We all have steps backwards. I wouldn't even use the word mess up. I shouldn't have used that. We've been working on, let's say, I'm a gingy, I have a hot temper, so I work on it. Okay, Baruch Hashem, it's calmed down a lot because I've been working on it for many years. But let's say I slip up and my temper comes out, it happens. Okay, David's saying, when that happens, our thought shouldn't be, oh, I messed up. Our thought should be, oh, are people going to now say Hashem's, look, Hashem's Torah, Hashem's honor. See, you've been working on yourself in spirituality. That doesn't work. Torah, God forbid, doesn't work. Okay. So that was David's concern, which I found another powerful idea. Okay. We're going to continue. Gimel. We may go a little bit over today, everyone. Okay, if you can't stay, I'm sorry, but you can catch the reruns on YouTube. All right, Gam kol kovecha lo, yevoshu, habogdim reka. Okay, neither shall any of those who hope for you be ashamed. Kovecha is their hope. Let those who betray to the extent of destitution, let them be ashamed. Okay, so now we went from trust to hope. What's the difference? Trust is reliance. Trust is also, in terms of an action, it's living with the knowledge that you can rely on Hashem. Okay. It doesn't mean that everything's always going to be roses. It just means that in general, you rely on Hashem to come through with you. It's a very wonderful way to live when you can muster this up. Okay. Hope is more of a positive, looking forward to the future, hoping things will get better. The tikva is the word for hope. Kovecha is the grammar of this pasuk, in which we anticipate a better future and for ourselves personally, and also we have a lot of hope, as well as we should have faith and trust that the Geula is coming, that Mashiach is coming, and so on. In Mishle, in Proverbs, it says, the expectation of the tzaddikim will result in simcha, in joy, but the hope of the wicked will be lost. Okay, so when a tzaddik hopes, they're going to receive joy. But if somebody has a hope, oh, I hope I can, when our enemies, okay, I will speak very just right now. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, of course, is the Nazis, Yimach Shemam. They hoped that they would wipe out the Jews, God forbid. And their hopes were soundly destroyed. Okay, so we hope with a good heart for good things. We should never hope for bad things, God forbid. Okay, also, I would like to share with you something from the Shemona Esrei. For those of you who say the Amidah every morning or every day, some people say Mincha as well, some people say Mariv as well. So keep in mind that when you say Modim, okay, we thank you in the Amidah, when you get to that section, the last sentence of that section is very interesting, and I want to share this with you. It says, Kilo samu chasadecha ki ne'olam kevinu lach. For never ended are your kindnesses, and because we always have put our hope in you. Now, what this sentence is saying, and I have actually marked it in my siddur with a sticker, what's it called, a tab, whatever. I have a lot of markings in my siddur because I want to pay attention to that. It's chizuk, it's encouragement. It's saying Hashem's kindnesses never end because we hope in him. Just like our trust creates a vessel in which Hashem pours bracha, our hope, our looking positively towards the future, creates a vessel in which Hashem pours his kindness. Okay, think about that. Go back to any other example. You have the cutest little kid who hopes, please, mommy, I want dessert. I'll eat my dinner, but I want my dessert after my dinner. I'm really hoping you give me my favorite dessert. Mommy's more inclined because her child is hoping. He's hoping in her. Okay. So this idea of hope is very powerful. We always talk about emunah and bitachon, obviously key, important concepts and phenomena. But I think is the term. But hope is also extremely important. Hope is where we connect to the inner child. Okay, it's a little old term, but that's where we connect to the inner child. And our Tati, our Abba in heaven, when we hope to him, we trust in him, we have faith in him, but when we hope to him for good, for pleasant times ahead, he delivers. And we also have to know that his kindnesses, Hashem's kindnesses, don't always look exactly like what we would like them to look like, but we can trust that they're always kindness. Okay, we're going to continue. Okay, verse 4. Okay, we're behind. Dirachecha Hashem hodieni, or chosecha lamdeni. Okay. Hashem, let me know your ways. Teach me your paths. Okay. So So Hashem, we ask Hashem to teach us the derech, the path or his paths, derech. And these paths, his paths, are all these paths of sweetness, of emunah, betachon, and tikva, all of these, but the paths are also referring to halachas, halachot, okay? Just as a path is made for walking, the halachot are made so we can lech lecha, like Avraham, okay? Walk out, go on them, okay? So that's also what we're asking Hashem to help us with, to teach us the paths, little by little, step by step. Okay, we're asking Hashem to teach it, which is very beautiful. Okay, next verse. What are we up to? Hey, okay. Hadricheni va'amitecha v'lamdeni ki ata elokei yishi oscha kevisi. There's hope again. Kol hayom. Hadricheni, like a madricha, a guide, counselor. Guide me in what? Amitecha, your truth. Guide me in your truth. Okay, and teach me. Because why? You are the guide of my salvation. You are the God of my salvation. And what? I hope for you all day long. Reminding Hashem that we're relying on Hashem to guide us in what's true and what's real in our personal lives, in the world at large. We need to be able to distinguish between truth and lies. There's one truth, says Rebbe Nachman, and many, many lies. I won't go into great detail today about what he says about truth, but truth is an essential ingredient for salvation. We just don't have time. We're running out of time. Truth is essential to salvation. If we believe, I'm going to just go outwards to the general state of the world right now. If we believe the craziness and the lies that we're being told in the world at large, if we believe this stuff, we have rejected Hashem's truth. And we need to be able to discern what's true and what's not true. Perhaps all the lies are rising up today because Mashiach's coming. And so they're in our face. There's such distortions. It's very obvious. And these are rising up because it's the last gasp of the Sitra Achra before Mashiach conquers the Yetzer Hara. Last gasp of the other side before Mashiach conquers the other side, the side of evil. Okay, we need to be discerning. Rebbe Nachman says that everybody knows who Rebbe Nachman is, I'm assuming. If you need to know the right choice to make and you are unsure of what to do, the only way, he says, to get genuine good advice, the only way to really get good guidance and to follow is to be absolutely 100% committed to seeking only the absolute 100% truth. So this is what David is really saying here. If you really want Hashem's guidance and salvation, then you must be willing to accept the truth. There's truth on many levels. We need to accept the truth about ourselves. We need to accept the good in ourselves. We need to be able to see what's genuinely good about ourselves. What's genuinely good about ourselves isn't often what the world tells us is good about ourselves. And we need to see what's genuinely not our strengths that we need to work on and improve. And we need to also see this in the world. Okay. Little by little, you can increase this idea of this God consciousness, which is going to help you get to the truth. So I give you a practical tip. It really works. If you're going about your day, if you're not at the place where you're used to thinking about Hashem a significant portion of the time, take 1 minute out of every hour. Drop what you're doing and think about Hashem. Talk to Hashem. Just 1 minute every hour that you're awake. Whether you're eating, whether you're running errands, whether you're in an entertainment mode, whatever that is, stop. For some people, what works is this is one of my coaching tips. For some people, what works is the first minute of every hour. For some people, what works is the last minute of every hour, whatever it is. And then, of course, you can add and build to that until it becomes a constant sub-theme as you go about your day. Okay, next. Do we have a little more time? I hope you don't mind staying a little late. I see someone had to leave. Where are we? Okay, we're on 6. Okay. Zachor rachamecha Hashem v'chasdecha ki me'olam hema. Remember your mercies, Hashem, and your kindnesses, because they have been since time immemorial. What we're asking here for Hashem's help and salvation, and the next verse is going to clarify this, is that Hashem created the world with chesed, with rachamim and hesed, with mercy and loving kindness. That's how he created the world. We're asking for Hashem to help us. Okay, but we're not saying, remember how kind I am. Remember how good I am. Remember, Hashem, I did this good thing today. And I did this good thing. And no, we're saying, Hashem, remember your kindnesses, your mercies. We're reminding Hashem how wonderful he is and how we trust and hope and rely on his kindness and his mercies. Okay, Malbim says something interesting. Mercy refers to the perfection of our organs. Each one is formed with great specificity in order to function, and kindnesses refers to our intellect and the understanding that Hashem gave us. I thought that was very powerful. We don't have time to explore it too much, but I will say, for those who say Asher Yatzar after you use the restroom, where we really thank Hashem that our bodily functions function. Okay, this is an example of Hashem's absolute mercy. Could you imagine if your appendix was in your ear and your liver was in your nose? You know, when your bodily systems work, and most of them do most of the time, okay, not everybody, not all the time, but generally speaking, this is a very great compassion that Hashem has shown us. Okay, next. This verse has very special meaning to me, and I'll explain why in a moment. I hope you don't mind staying a little later. Chatos neurai ufashai ufshai al tizkor kechasdecha zachar li ata lema'an tuvecha Hashem. Okay, this verse says, the sins of my youth and my transgressions, don't remember them. Please forget them, Hashem. For the sake of your mercy and compassion, remember me. For the sake of your goodness. Okay. We're telling Hashem, forget what I did in the past. Because you love me, because you have so much compassion on me, just forget it. For the sake of just the fact that I'm relying on you, trusting on you, like that guy who was accused of being a burglar. Okay. I'm part of you, Hashem. I'm part of your family. I'm your child. Just forget all that stuff. Why does this verse have meaning for me? Okay, not only the obvious for everyone, I mean, I'm assuming, but also because in Amidah, in Shemona Esrei prayer every day, you have a section at the end, depending on your Siddur, in which you can put the verses of your name. And if anybody wants more information, you can text me afterwards or WhatsApp me afterwards. And you can say verses that correspond to the first, and they correspond to the first letter of your name and the last letter. This is for Chaya. I also say a verse for Rivka, because this verse begins with a ches and ends with a hey. Okay. So this verse is, I say it every day when I daven. Now, each siddur has different verses that you can insert. You can also, if your name, let's say, is Sarah, you can go and you can look up any verse that you like in Torah and say a verse with the name Sarah in it, if you prefer, rather than having the beginning and last letter of your name. There are a few ways to do that. Why do we do this, and why do we insert this at the end of Shemona Esrei? The reason is, there's a few reasons, but I'm going to give you the sort of Kabbalistic reason is that when we go to the next world, we should all live to 120 and beyond, say Amen. Okay, when we go up there, okay, it can be confusing for us. Even if we've made Hisbodedus, a Hitbodedut, and we're focused, it can be confusing. We can even forget our name. So it's important for us to maintain this consciousness, with the kind of consciousness. Our neshamas have a consciousness, and remember our name. And when we remember our name, we remember everything about our life, and we can move forward in the next world. Okay, somehow somebody got unmuted. Let me mute back. Okay, so if anybody, by the way, if anybody needs any help with that, you could always just text me, WhatsApp me, whatever. For those of you who didn't come earlier, who weren't here earlier, I want to tell you, open your chat and you will see at the top the WhatsApp group. You can sign up to receive WhatsApp group, and then you can personally WhatsApp me, direct message me in WhatsApp if you want help with this. Okay, I have a lot more, but we're going to stop here because we really ran a lot over today. It is supposed to be a half-hour class. And finally, after 25 Psalms, I realized I need to print everything out in giant print in order for me to read it. And finally, right, giant. Even my large print to Hillam isn't good enough. And also, now we're going to say the day's Psalms together, and I'm going to tell you the segulas for that. But if you also open your chat, you will see beneath the sign up link for the group chat, okay, the Breslov Woman chat, in which you receive daily mini lessons and class announcements and so on, you will see a link to donate. I rarely ask in a class, okay, because I really want to focus on the class. But I have a very major technological issue happening. I have a lot of stuff I need for giving classes. I need some technological help. My poor computer can't take the stress anymore. My webcam can't take the stress, and nothing is going smoothly. And I need to get to that next level of professionalism with my equipment. I've spoken to various tech people. I've got estimates. If anybody would like to help, I'd be very grateful. If you'd like to make a general donation, I'd be very grateful. If you would like to sponsor a class, I would be very grateful. And may Hashem bless you in the merit of your kindness and your generosity. Okay. So let me actually pause the recording.